I don't know how we haven't talked about this yet, but this is just incredible. At the Stonewall National Monument, of course, as we near the end of Pride Month, Elton John held an event with President Joe Biden. And I want to show you first Elton John just crushing the MAGA attempts we've seen nationwide to demonize LGBTQ Americans, and this being a part of a broader right-wing effort to do the same across the world. And Elton John just words it perfectly, and there's a very punchy phrase that you'll hear in this clip.
Over 540 anti-LGBTQ plus bills were introduced in state legislatures across America this year. Disgraceful. And discrimination and criminalization threaten the lives of our LGBTQ plus family from Kingston to Kampala. At the Elton John AIDS Foundation, along with our partners and allies, we fight these human rights abuses around the world every day as we seek to open hearts and minds and find innovative ways to move forward.
Millions of you out there, that's right, I see you, watch the show on a regular basis but aren't yet subscribed. If you appreciate the work that we do, by clicking that subscribe button, you're showing you appreciate it and helping us continue to grow. Thank you so much. Back to it.
And as President Biden has reminded us, today too we face one of those seminal moments. Do we stand up for our vision and our values, or let misinformation and senseless scapegoating turn back the clock? No fucking way. No. In this moment, too, we must take pride and fight on. So let us honor LGBTQ plus people everywhere who have journeyed for justice, and commit, as I do, as long as I'm still standing, to continue to stand with you as we together create a better, fairer, and more just world for us all. Thank you. Have a great and happy Pride. Bless
Good job, man. Good job.
You know, I don't think I expected that, but that was just an absolutely perfect phrase. No effing way. Speaking to the option of our two options to give in to the attacks, to give up on the advocacy for progress and the advocacy for equality. And that's not the option we're going with. No effing way, as Elton John said. And instead, we're going to keep pushing. And it really does feel like sometimes if we ever let up in the push to move us forward, then we're going to be pushed backwards. And MAGA is a movement that so desperately wants to bring us backwards. Even what MAGA stands for, Make America Great Again, we aren't great now in their mind. We need to go back to a time where we were. And in that time where they think that we were, one of the many characteristics that proves maybe we should not be hoping to go backwards is the fact that LGBTQ Americans didn't have the rights. We're not treated as they are now. And there's more to be done, of course. But this gets to, just to continue on that thought, something I've been circling back to often, which is the faux nostalgia from MAGA. They're able to convince people that maybe it is time to roll back the clock, as Elton John was pointing to. It is time to undo the steps that we've taken in the correct direction, because some myth of a time back there was better, before people were given rights that at that time they didn't have. And we have to push back against that myth of the past so that we can convince people the future is forward, not backwards. Here's President Joe Biden at this same event speaking as well.
But I look around at the pride, hope, and light that all of you bring. I know is a battle we're going to win and continue to make progress. LGBTQ plus people are some of the most inspiring people I know. And of course, the courage. You know, I talk to a lot of younger LGBTQ people in their teens and 20s. And I remind them, for a lot of people who started this operation, you took your life in your own hands, not figuratively, literally. You took your jobs in your own hands. You were put up in a position where you were so much to lose, and you still did it. You still did it. I remember my dad was dropping me off to get a license to be a lifeguard in Wilmington, Delaware, at the swimming pools. And I got out of the car in Rodney Square, they call it. And that's where the DuPont building is and the Hercules Corporation, all in that one quarter. And two well-dressed men were kissing each other. And I hadn't seen that before. I looked at my dad. I was 16 years old. Looked at my dad. And he said, "It's simple, Joey. They love each other. It's simple." He was a good man. And your courage and contributions enrich every part of American life. You set an example, I'm not exaggerating, for the entire world. That's what this center, this monument, this month is all about. So today, let's proudly remember who we are. We're the United States of America. And there's nothing beyond our capacity when we work together, and everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, no matter what their background. Period, period, period.
Yes, exactly correct. And we will get to the tangible things that Biden has been doing, because I think it's important. Luckily, in this case, the fact check of his words, let's see if he's doing the things with his actions that align with his rhetoric, is positive story. But so often the reason this is important to do is because so often politicians, leaders in positions of power can say the right thing, but they're not actually putting their money where their mouth is, right? They're not actually abiding by the principles they purport to stand for, and we need to see action. And so I will go through that in just a second here. But to give some credit to the power of words and rhetoric, I think given the existential nature of this election, as we talk about daily, the democracy being on the line, the very democracy that the rest of the world looks at for guidance, and that being threatened by this MAGA Trump movement, not to mention people's rights, the stability, economically and otherwise, of this country, it's all on the line. Okay. Because of that, it's easy to skip past the importance of words like that, because things that feel much more tangible are on the line. But I do want to give a moment to the fact that it actually is profoundly impactful to have the most powerful person in the world saying stuff like this, emphasizing the importance of respecting all people's dignity and respecting the identity of all people. And that respect is what makes this country and others stronger. It doesn't weaken the country, it strengthens it. And having the president of the United States saying that instead of the vile garbage that spews out of the mouths of people like Donald Trump is something that matters. And then it's backed up by actions. Just recently, you have this reporting from the Associated Press. President Joe Biden pardoned potentially thousands of former U.S. service members convicted of violating a now repealed military ban on consensual gay sex, saying Wednesday that he is righting an historic wrong to clear the way for them to regain lost benefits. So because of this anti-gay policy, you had people who were serving their country not getting the benefits that they deserve. And Biden's righting that wrong. You also, going back from CBS, Biden signs Respect for Marriage Act, recognizing marriage equality in federal law. So enshrining marriage equality into federal law. And then you have numerous executive orders also attempting to protect the rights of LGBTQ Americans and uplift them. And before going further, I have other clips to play for you. I think this conversation, while relevant to LGBTQ Americans, is also yet another exemplification of the contrast in this election, where one side is running a campaign truly about pushing others down to make themselves feel higher. Trump running a campaign about retribution. The excitement that we're hearing from MAGA is about owning and destroying the other side, going after the opponents of Trump if he gets into a second term. I'm reminded of a clip that I played of Joe Scarborough at an airport, and a MAGA person walks up to him and says, I forget the exact language, but Trump's gonna get you or something. Trump's gonna go after you. You're gonna suffer if Trump gets elected again. The excitement being about media figures opposed to Trump suffering in a second Trump term. And the excitement about further demonizing communities that have been demonized for so long. Okay, so that's one vision. But while, of course, our movement, the pro-democracy movement, the pro-decency movement, has people and things and a side that we're opposed to. We're opposed to MAGA, right? So it's not that we can all just link arms and woohoo and forget the divisions. But our vision of staying in power is one that prioritizes uplifting everybody, including MAGA folks. So uplifting the LGBTQ community, I should say. Uplifting MAGA communities. Uplifting all different communities. That's the whole point of the policies that we advocate on behalf of. And protecting American democracy is in the interest of really all people, except maybe Trump. And that, I think, is a beautiful part of the advocacy and the work that we do every single day. Everyone is supposed to be better off in our vision of what's ahead. And that comes in stark contrast to the MAGA vision that really is excited, is salivating over the idea of seeing the people they hate suffer. By the way, someone named Renee posted on X, so you mean to tell me that Biden went to Atlanta for the debate, stayed up all night at the Waffle House, flew to North Carolina the next day, and went off at a rally, and then went to New York City to stand up for the LGBTQ community at a Stonewall event with Elton John, sort of making the point that after what we've fully acknowledged was a very, very disastrous performance at the presidential debate, Biden actually ended up having a 48 hours after that showed a lot of stamina. Now I just wish that could have been shown at the debate. But the speech that was referenced in North Carolina, I will play some clips of here. One last thing in the advocacy for LGBTQ Americans, I also had pop in my head that post that we covered of a former Newsmax host, I think it was, maybe OAN, one of those right-wing outlets, and he got engaged to a woman, and so he posted his engagement announcement on X was Pride Month defeated. Love you to his now fiance. And the conversation we had was how unfortunate your life has to be where one of the happiest moments, or what should be one of the happiest moments in your life where you're getting engaged to the person that you love, is about crushing, defeating other people. Huh? And remember, when we talk about equality, I don't think some people get this. MAGA definitely doesn't. That means celebrating and uplifting straight couples too. And cis people too. This is a message about all people thriving and having happy, healthy families. And why you feel like you have to exclude to be happier, I don't get that at all. Now, because that post mentioned Biden's speech, I do want to remind you of some of these moments from Raleigh, North Carolina, just to give a sense. We've done plenty of coverage and tens of millions of Americans saw that debate. And totally fair to have concern and to express shock from what was observed. But let's contextualize it with more moments from that same sort of 48-hour span.
And we're still the beacon to the world. We can never give up what makes America, America. Yeah! Donald Trump is motivated by revenge and retribution. Well, revenge and retribution never built a damn thing. You and I, we Americans are a nation of hope, optimism, and possibilities. That's what always built America. That's going to continue to build America today. The choice in this election is simple. Donald Trump will destroy our democracy. I will defend it.
So you have that moment, and you also have this one.
How about the fact that 40 out of his 44 top advisors, including the vice president, aren't supporting him this time around? The people who know him best. 40 of them said, I will not support the man I work for this time around. It tells you a lot about the person who knows him. Look.
40 out of 44 of the top officials serving Trump and his administration are saying, I cannot endorse this man. Then you have this.
And unlike the other guy, we're going to stand up to dictators like Putin, because America bows to no one ever.
And still dealing with that cough, some sort of illness, unfortunately, that did rear its ugly head during the debate, but lots of people denying that was a legitimate claim. I think without taking any culpability away, it definitely is real, as I was noticing when watching this full speech, some nice congested coughs. Then you have this.
Close with this. I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. Well, I don't. Folks, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
So very interesting stuff there. That gives you a sense with the Stonewall event and then also the North Carolina event. A little bit more of a complete picture about that span of time. And I think maybe there was a little bit too much of crisis talk. But that's the way media goes, you know? Of course, the salaciousness of, is Biden gonna drop out, is too yummy for a lot of outlets to pass up. That's clearly not happening, and I think it's time we get back to a conversation about the contrast between these two candidates. Perfect? No. Either of them? No. But is one far closer to what we need in the country than the other? Oh, yes. And as long as we're having these sort of, again, salacious, sexy, media-wise, and yummy in the tummy of viewership conversations for a lot of outlets. I don't know why I'm using that this sort of terminology, but here we are. We're not talking about what really matters, which is who can be president. And we've seen how Biden's been president, and it's been pretty dang solid. Trump could quite literally destroy the foundation of our democracy. Easy choice. Let me know what you thought of that segment in the comments. If you want to get the extra bonus episode daily, you can do so by clicking the join button below.